me to be whatever I wanna be, and I am gonna be free and easy. This little light of mine used to be too scared to shine. And when mine met yours, it would run and hide. But in time, I came to find I wanna shine so bright it makes the whole world smile and pay back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I wanna be, and I am gonna be free and easy. This little light of mine, it used to be too scared to shine. And when mine met yours, it would run and hide. But in time, I came to find I wanna shine so bright it makes the whole world smile and pay back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I wanna be, and I am gonna be free and easy. This little light of mine, it used to be too scared to shine. And when mine met yours, it would run and hide. But in time, I came to find I wanna shine so bright it makes the whole world smile and pay back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I wanna be, and I am gonna be free and easy, free and easy, free and easy, free and easy.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I feel like when we promote something, there's this long lead up and we're finally here. So usually I sit down for anything that I share, but I've decided that this time I'm going to stand up. So you might get the occasional close up of my face as I'm doing things on my computer, because I have to lean over to my computer to do bits and pieces. So I'm so happy to have you all here. And as people continue to jump on, I'll let them in. And so to start, before we open it up of what Soul Ignition is and about who I am and all those pieces, I would love to hear in the chat box, what's one word to describe how you're feeling right now? So just pop it in the chat box. Lit, yes, beautiful, Alyssa. Open, amazing. Joyful, says Renee. Beautiful, and as they pop in, I'll share them. Ready, awesome. Excited, Nadine says excited. Yes, so I'm really excited too. And so today is going to be an hour. So what I'm going to do is first up, I'll share my screen just to keep me on track. I've written myself some notes so that I stay on track, because an hour, it really isn't very long for me anyway when I'm sharing something. So let me share my screen. Oops. Oh, hang on, that's my music. Here's my Canva. Present. Okay, so, and I've made sure that I'm on speaker view. So Now, what we today is soul ignition. And so this has been birthed through me as, and what it feels like is a culmination of all of my life's work to this point. And so over these 3 days, we're going to be taking a journey of, a soul lighting activation. And so, that fire that burns within you that sometimes we cultivate and sometimes we don't, the one that we can feel, that we know in moments of our life where we're like, man, this just feels so good and I feel so excited, that we feel that flame, ignite, and we feel it burning. And then the times where we are aware of where we dampen that, where we don't let our light be fully seen and fully experienced. And so over these 3 days, we're going to be talking about the 3 pillars of soul ignition. Today, pillar 1, tomorrow, pillar 2, and pillar 3. And this is the first time that I've shared scholarships. And I decided to do this because of the experience of me receiving a scholarship from a mentor recently, actually 2 I've received in the last 18 months. And the experience of experiencing that level of generosity, but also how it felt for me to receive in that way, to align with something and to be able to receive in that way was life-changing for me. And of course, I believe that everything happens, in perfect divine timing and in perfect divine order. And so, I know that those pieces that I've received were exactly what I needed for that part of my journey. And so 12 o'clock each day. Oops, how come? And so today we're going to take a journey through, I just have to move the camera. Today over the 3 days, we're going to be talking about all the 3 pillars and all the pieces. Today we're going to be doing pillar 1. So know that at the end of today, there will be a feeling of there's missing pieces. So often I do 2-hour webinars where I do the whole bit in one go. There's a purpose for this experience, for things to really move through you and really grow and shift over the 3 days. That's why we're doing it over the 3 days. So we'll come to the end of today and this will be a piece, and you will likely feel slightly incomplete because you only have one of the pieces. But just trust me, just go with me, just do what, go all in. And so the other thing we're going to do is reflect on the pillar. So we're going to do a little bit of journaling, and then we'll talk a little bit about the scholarship and the details and the exercise. And so first, setting up this sacred space and how to come in a good way. So in order to really honor, all of a sudden I've just gone, have I pressed record? Yes, I have. And making sure, let me just check if there's anyone in the waiting room. Okay. Share screen. There's so many pieces over the hundreds and hundreds of webinars that I've done, and I've gone a little checklist, and I just looked down and glanced and I went, oh, I didn't do that. So just checking that I've got everything in order. So setting up this as a sacred space and coming in a good way. So I ask that you show up with a beginner's mind, and that things that you hear are things that you will likely have heard before or have experienced, but allow yourself to come with a beginner's mind so that you can receive, a new learning, what's available to you for your next level. When someone shares something, they're sharing through their lens of perception and their experience of that, and we get to be in that moment and receive what it is that is there for us. When I ask that if you have like questions or you're triggered about something, that you take these things, if you're triggered about something, that you take this up privately with me. I want to meet you where you're at. I want to support you with that, but it is not the place to do it in this webinar. This is a promotional 3-part webinar. and I want to support you outside of this. If you have questions along the way, so that I can stay focused and in my flow, I would love, you can write them in the chat box, and then periodically I'll come and check in the chat box and invite questions and engagement at that point. But I want to stay in flow so that I can keep to time. And the other thing is that, excuse me, is that I am going to share, I often teach through the form of stories. So I'm going to share stories, and who knows, I'm a sensitive person. I may get emotional. I'm totally good. I'm very, experienced in this being vulnerable and showing up in this way and being witnessed by other people in this. So, I can hold that space, and I'm totally okay. And I invite you to really lean in and go there yourself. So know that I have set the tone energetically for this vortex. I've set up sacred space before this. I've called in all of my support team, my soul family. I've invited all of yours to be part of this if they want to be part of this with you. So this is a beautiful sacred space, a safe space for you to really show up and really lean in and receive these transmissions in all of what's available for you. Now, it sometimes where there's not been a financial exchange, sometimes if things are free, we don't place the same value on it. But here's the thing, your time is money, and your energy and your effort and your focus and your attention. So the exchange that's happening is that you're showing up here and giving the most valued resource that you have is your presence to be here. So receive and know that this holds high value because you've taken the time to be here. So now, who am I and what qualifies me to share this with you? So my name is Sky Williams, and I have been on this journey of evolution since I was a teenager. I had, at school when we were told to read books, I found it difficult to focus. I didn't enjoy reading them. And then when I was 14, I was in a spiritual bookshop with my mum, and I found a book about spiritual mediumship, and I read it from front to back in 4 days. And I was like, I have no problem with comprehension or reading or focus or any of these things, because I was so interested in it. So I'm, deeply devoted to this journey. I have a business communication degree. I've invested over 100K in my growth over the last 3 years. And one of the things is that, in this experience of mentorship and facilitation and coaching that I do, I coach and support and mentor across the board. And so I'm sharing with you my breadth of experience to share with you that I have the experience and the education and the knowledge in order to speak into these pieces. I also speak into what I've invested, is because I won't ask you to do something that I haven't done. And so I have, quantum leaped forward hugely over the past 4 years now, because I've invested in mentorship. All the years prior to that, I did lots of self-directed learning, but it was working with mentors that changed the game for me. And so I've got a quantum healing certification, NLP, and a coaching certificate. I also have a beautiful divine husband. I've been in partnership with him for 15 years, and he's my soul union. And know that to be able to support people in their relationships, it's that I've been through the trials and tribulations, all of the challenges, everything that shows up within a relationship, that we've stayed the course, and that at this point in our relationship, we're deeply devoted to each other. So excited to see each other when we come back together at the end of each day, have deep intimacy and deep connection. And so it's not a marriage of convenience, it's a deeply connected relationship. And I've coached hundreds of students in the area of business, relationships, healing, parenting, and inner child work. So, soul ignition. So the pillars. There are 3 pillars of soul ignition, and today we're going to be doing one of those. But first, why soul ignition and what is it? So I spent most of my adult life feeling kind of scared of my own shadow, feeling an enormous and deep strength and potential within me. Just letting people in. A powerful strength within me, and the way that I showed up in the world did not translate that way. There was so much stuff that I had to peel back in order to get to, my most authentic self, my most, connection with my soul blueprint. So soul ignition comes from my awareness of how much I referred to in my life the experience of this lights me up. I became very aware when I would use the term, the sentence, this really lights me up. And then I would have this deep presence within my body and deep connection and awareness of like this heightened awareness of what was happening in that moment. And then the more I cultivated that awareness, I started to notice that the ripple effect, the knock-on effect of that. And then I became very aware of when I wasn't in that, when I was doing things to dampen my soul, dampen my light, and when I was hiding and all of those things. And so soul ignition was born from the journey that I went on to cultivating a life of spending most of my time in a place of this lights me up. And every time I catch myself and notice myself of dampening my light or hiding my light, is that I have a moment of deep presence with myself, because all that's happening is that I'm not present in that moment and things are out of alignment. And so coming into deep presence and then inquiring what's going on there. So that's how soul ignition came about. And that's what it is. And so I would love to hear in the chat box, what does it mean to you to ignite your soul? What is soul ignition to you? Just open the chat box. And while you're typing, the other question is, what percentage of time, so 0 to 100, 100 being all of the time, 0 being none of the time, what percentage of time would you say that you spend in feeling lit up versus not lit up? So it might be 50-50, might be 20-80, 80-20. What percentage of time would you say that you spend in, I am so lit up right now? Oh, it's funny, the mouse. So soul ignition rates, living in my authentic truth and feeling deeply fulfilled, to be fully aligned in what I'm doing. Yes. Embodying creative life force energy. Yes. Sorry, I missed the question. I was said, what does soul ignition mean to you? And then the second question is, what percentage of time do you spend feeling lit up? 20% lit, 80% not. Yes. Knowing what it is that lights you up. Yes, Alyssa. Doing the work that I enjoy, or finding joy in the work that I do. Yes, I love that, Katie. When I'm in flow, usually when moving very fast, usually when I'm making or movement, percentage is 20 to 25% lit. Yes. I'm new to this, so soul ignition, unsure. Sure. And if you, I don't think you were here for the beginning part where I shared the transmission piece, so you can watch the replay and it will share more in there. Katie, 50-50, not sure. 80% lit. Percentage is hard, yes. 70% lit, 30% not. Fully alive, vibrant, loving myself fully. Yeah, that's what soul ignition is, yes. Later, 90%, 10% not lit up, yes. Okay, beautiful. And really just acknowledging everyone for where they're at. Thank you for sharing. And so I would say until quite recently, in the last kind of year, 18 months, I spent more of my time, in the not lit up and doing things out of what I felt was obligation. And being a mother and a wife and a woman and being, an empath and all of those labels and stories that I have and had for myself, and looking at where all of my energy was going. And so in this journey of really committing to this piece and really going deep into it and looking at how that can shift, looking at recognizing and noticing people who were maybe more 80% lit up and 20% of the time doing the inner work, doing work or the gritty stuff, and going, what is the secret sauce? What is the recipe there? And I do truly believe, I actually now have arrived at the belief that it is possible to be in the 80-20. So 80% lit up and 20% in the work and the other stuff that happens, because this is a human experience, of course. And so where mine started, just keeping an eye on my time, where mine started. So in 2000, like I said, I've been on this journey since I was a teenager, but in 2012, it's been said that there was a, massive awakening and the end of the age of Pisces. And then we moved into the age of Aquarius, and which is like the age of light, and an awakening. So then over the next 10 years, which from 2012 till 2022 is the next 10 years, was this slow burn of this awakening across the board, across the world, the globe, and probably galaxy. And so, for me, what the awakening looked like is that I had my first child and I had postnatal depression. Now it was an experience where it really kind of shocked me, because I always wanted to be a mum, and it just was not on my radar. On my journey of trying to resolve that and learn to be a mother, and on my journey to trying to resolve that, is that when I was looking in the system that was doctors and things like that, was that it wasn't providing me with the solution that I was looking for. I was offered medication and I knew that that wasn't for me. Now, no judgment to anybody that's chosen medication or that's on medication. For me, I just knew that it wasn't for me. I knew that that wasn't the solution I was looking for. And so there began the journey of really inquiring deeply of what is it that's going on here. And what I learned, the end of the story, is that, through this experience of having a baby that cried all the time and then became a toddler who screamed constantly, he was nearly 2, and I was at an event, like a sound healing event, and the facilitator looked at me and said, she said, "Oh, do you have a question?" And I said, "I'm just wondering, why my child screams all the time, and that what is in this for me." And then she said, maybe he's expressing all of the things that you've never expressed. Now that could have been a flippant comment, but it was, and I could have got on with my life. But being the person that I am, and being very, I noticed the feeling in my body. I knew that it rattled me, and it had some truth in it. And so there began a deep inquiry and a deep healing of the all of my inner child stuff and all the things that were unexpressed. And it was the journey of my inner light, my inner fire, that was completely like, actually there wasn't even embers at that point, and the journey of relighting that and relighting that. And so the process of relighting that was actually clearing the darkness, clearing the space so that I could cultivate that light. And then there's another big awakening at the end of 2019, as in these last 3 years that we've all gone through, where there's just like popcorn, is people waking up and waking up and waking up, and really waking up and expanding into what their soul is here to express. And I speak to people every single day. It used to feel like it was rare to connect with people that had got this memo, and now it's rare to find someone who didn't get the memo. It's most common now that people are talking about doing what they, peeling back the layers so that they can do all the things that they're here to do, and that, being their most authentic self, discovering their inner truth, all of those pieces. So I'd love to hear from you in the chat box. When was the awakening for you? When did things shift and you decided it's time for me to get out of my own way, it's time for me to really step up? When was that for you? Okay, so first when I was 12, and then, but it didn't do anything about it. 2012 was my spiritual awakening. Cairns, what a ride. Yeah, and I'm just so inspired. I meet so many people, and that was such a significant time. I didn't know at the time, but now that I get to reflect and talk to people about it, it was so huge. Exactly this time last year, when my mental health was so low and I was feeling suicidal too often. Wow, what a year, Katie. And now very recently. And so what I've learned is that the more we know ourselves, the brighter our light can shine. So the more that let me just keep the chat box open in case someone says something. Birthing, yeah, and parenting, birthing does that, doesn't it? It births us too. Is the better that we know ourselves, is the more our light can shine. And so the first pillar I've got to remember is, if this is the slide, let me go and go to the next slide. Yes. So the first pillar of soul ignition is radiance. And so radiance is about luminosity, about good health, and about vibrancy. And we would all know the experience of being in the presence of somebody who we can just see that they're glowing. Everything looks different about them because there's a brightness, there's a vibrancy about them that is seen and that is felt. So luminosity comes from, is actually a concept of that our cells actually emit light, and the light sends and receives information. So this is definitely not a science lesson. This is definitely just the basics to demonstrate radiance. So we know that a poor environment affects how cells function. And so the within the cells hold, the protons, electrons, and neutrons, and then there's also biophotons. I think they're called biophotons, and so which is the bioluminescence, the light part of the cell. And the science is still like I when I learned about this piece and then reading and diving deep into it, there's still so much being kind of documented about this, but we know that the cells hold light, they emit light, and they communicate with each other. And we know that a poor environment affects how that they function. So that can be physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and that all of those things affect the environment within the body and within the cell. And so when we have, chronic stress, or we have unhealed, unresolved stuff, trauma and experiences that's unresolved, that we think, I'll just pop a lid on that and I'll just, leave it over there, that the body knows exactly, the body keeps score, the body is holding all of that. And then when we go through the process of healing and moving this stuff through our body and healing trauma and doing the healing work to bring ourselves back to a place of peace, the debris of that has to move through the lymphatic system, has to move through the body. So that density and that not light, that shadowy part has to move through the body to make space for more luminescence, for more light. And so the thing with radiance is that the more we devote to doing this work within ourselves and doing the healing work and getting to deeply know ourselves so that we can meet our own needs, so that we can communicate our desires, so that we can have healthy boundaries and have healthy relationships, is that I lost my train of thought. Hang on a second. And yes, the more that we commit to doing the work within ourselves and creating the space within the body for us to hold more light, is the more radiance that we have. And what radiance makes available to us is that it filters through. We know that light penetrates everything. Light penetrates the darkness. And so the more we focus on this and the more we cultivate this and the more we cultivate this optimal environment within the physical body, within our emotional body, within all aspects of our inner self, then that penetrates and permeates every aspect of our life. So in cultivating this piece for myself, everything is shifted. How I show up in my marriage, how I show up in my parenting, and the flow and the harmony that gets to happen, because there's a resonance and a coherence that happens because there's a coherence within the cells of my body. And so my outer world has to reflect what's going on in my inner world. It shapes my perception and my experience. And so when we've got this poor environment in the body of unresolved feelings, things that we're not doing that we really desire to do, and worry and stress and all of those pieces, that the cells are non-coherent. They're not in non-coherence. So they're not sending this message through the light to each other for this harmonious experience. And then where we create and cultivate a healthy environment in the body and in all layers of our being, is that then everything's in coherence and things are in flow and harmony. And so if we look at coherence and non-coherence and what that feels like within us, is that experience of when someone says, hey, do you want to, so this happened to me, I'll share this piece. So I was doing a cleanse and not drinking and doing a whole bunch of things over a 3-month period. And I kept on getting invited to really fun things. And what came out of my mouth when I was invited was, yes, I'll come. But my entire body, because it was a drinking event with, that's what the focus was. And I knew that there was going to be, that goes against what it is that I'm cultivating in my life at that time. And so there was this incoherence that was happening within me, because I say yes because I had a fear of missing out. But then, within me there was, and then they picked up on it and said, I don't know, I just have this feeling like you don't really want to be there. And so being in coherence or non-coherence can be as subtle as that, or it can be as dramatic as you having the experience of being confused about what you want to create and not being motivated and not having deep trust within yourself. And there can be bigger things like that. And so if we think about, in a drum circle, when everybody's drumming in a circle, and if everybody is in coherence with each other and they're attuned to the other people playing, there's this beautiful rhythm that happens, and we can feel that coherence. We can feel that experience within our body and within the room. And then if there's someone in there that's like, I'm going to do something out of time, and then how that affects us. So that experience of that incoherence is disruptive to the flow and harmony of what it is that we're communicating. And so now I would love, let me go to my questions. So first I just wanted to add this piece. And so studies, this little piece is that studies have shown that when people, so humans, were put into a dark room and they were monitored with certain special equipment, and there was a luminescence, there was a light that you could see within the human cells through this light detecting machinery. And then when there was a control group and another group, that when they were suggested to visualize a bright light, their entire body lit up. And so we obviously can affect our luminosity by what we create in our internal world. And so what I would love for you to reflect, and I'll put a song on for this one, is where in your life do you dim your light? I'm actually going to put it in the chat box. Where in your life do you dim your light? And what are you willing to release or let go of in order to cultivate that radiance? What are you willing to release or I forget what I said, release, in order to shine more brightly? Okay, so I'm just going to put a song on.
When we were kids in the backyard, playing astronauts and rock stars, no one told us to stop it, called us unrealistic. Then suddenly you're 18, go to college for your plan B. What you want is too risky. Live for weekends and whiskey. We all got these big ideas. One day they're replaced with fear. How did we get here? Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? 31 waiting tables. She has a voice of an angel, out of money and power. She only sings in the shower. All these things we say will get to, shot down by the reasons not to. Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? So scared of failure that we fail to try. Turn it around before the finish line. Gotta fall for a minute before you can fly. So daydream, it's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Or save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream. Why save it for sleep when you should be living your daydream?
Okay, chat box. Okay, so Tina shared, I dim my light around people who I feel inferior to or don't know well. I'm willing to release my insecurities. Awesome. I dim my light around family and friends because it's easy being what people want, I guess you're saying there, what people want. Now, when I think about this aspect of, dimming our light around people that we feel inferior around or we don't know, is that I have experience with all of these feelings. I think these are, part of our, like almost like a rite of passage, an experience that many of us go through. And it's that when we cultivate our inner world in our environment, when we peel back the layers and when we connect deeply with our soul essence, is that we know that we're all one and we're all connected, and that there is no, that inferiority is a perception based on a lens that we have at the time, and that we can cultivate our light within us so that we can shine regardless. Like a light bulb, we switch the light bulb on and off. It doesn't have any, preconception of who who's in the room or what people might think of it. And so by cultivating these peace with radiance is that we give ourselves permission to be our light no matter what, in all circumstances. We're just simply shining our soul essence in the world. So Natalie, I dim my light. Yeah, and that I spent most of the early part of my life in that chameleon place where I thought that it served me to be able to adapt to whichever group that I was in and be the version that I thought they wanted me to be. And it became exhausting and unfulfilling. And now I notice that the more true I am to my authentic self, that my relationships have adjusted accordingly, and that now I have this natural attraction to people that are a vibrational match to me, and that I can be my whole self, and that it turns out that that they want to be their whole selves too, and just how fun and exciting and saucy and fulfilling and deeply connected that gets to be in our relationships when we can do that. Renee says, I dim my light in parental overwhelm. I'm willing to release rigid boundaries and resentment. Beautiful. Amen to that. And one of the pieces with that we're going to go into maybe on the third day is this perceived, levels of control that we create in our world for a sense of safety. And then we're going to look at just like blowing the cover on that and really sinking deeply into what safety truly is, and how surrender being the other side of control, surrender being the key element to really and truly support us. And Natalie says, accept, I'm willing. Oh, accept, yes, I get it. Natalie says, I'm willing to release my preconceived ideas of who I am. And this has been the most fulfilling part of the growth of the last 18 months, is releasing the preconceived ideas of who I am. I grew up my whole life thinking I was sharp, like being told, based on my experiences and my family and society and all these things, that certain labels of me and certain things about my personality and character and all of those pieces, and then reviewing them all and then recreating from the ground up. When we connect with our soul essence and who we came here to be, and we go back to the very beginning, we go back to the very core, and then all of those other pieces get to fall away, and that we get to create from that place. It turns out I am so different to the person that I grew up as until my probably mid-30s. I'm a completely different person. And in fact, that's why I think my marriage and relationship is so great, is because it's like dating, being married to someone completely new, because of doing this work within ourselves. And then Rach says, I am the same. Dim my light when I'm in the presence of people I consider superior. Nadine says, I dim my light by not connecting enough with my friends and new experiences enough, and giving other areas more attention. Yeah, priorities, absolutely. And I'm starting to understand how to cultivate more self-love and realize my own brilliance, and that we all have the same fears, worries, etc. Angela says, I dim my light in my family home because I am mentally and physically exhausted after work, that I don't have enough energy stored left for them and me to be the bright and radiant person I am. So 2023, this is changing. And this is another piece that in tomorrow's session that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to write myself notes about the things I'm saying. And power is that we're going to be talking about this reclamation of our power, this reclamation of our leaky energy that has us feel depleted and has the embers going and not the full light, and not feeling our full vibrancy and our full vitality. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow. And Katie says, I dim my light with my clothes, fashion style. I know it's important to me to express myself with my clothes and hair and jewelry, but since having kids and putting on weight, I have been very beige because I feel too fat. Such a beautiful awareness, because when we are in our vibrancy and in our radiance, that's the thing. We express ourselves fully in the way that we speak, in the way that we adorn ourselves, and the way that how we prioritize those kinds of things, how we prioritize our self-care and the way that we eat and the clothes that we wear. And that all of that gets to be an expression of how we're feeling. And as we choose, as we become aware, like you've become aware, and then we choose for it to be different. And then this is the journey that we get to. And so in another program that I'm facilitating at the moment called Expressed, that Katie's part of, is that this is one of the pieces that we're going to be talking about next week, is this clarity, gaining clarity on what that expression is, how we want to dress, how we want to speak, that version of who we are is and how she stands, how she speaks, how she eats, how she interacts with others, how she dresses, all of those pieces. And so I'm doing well with time here. So now I think we've got one more slide. So the scholarship there's multiple scholarships. There's one scholarship, which is to work with me in a group program for 3 months with a VIP upgrade. So the VIP upgrade, it means that the extra one-on-one support and access to me every day through the months. And so that's the VIP upgrade. So that's one scholarship. The other 4 scholarships are a $1,000 scholarship to use towards a program to work with me. And so in order to participate in the scholarship, to be in the draw to win a scholarship, is that you need to tag 3 people in the post, which is pinned on my profile, and then share the post on your personal profile, and then show up for at least 2 of the 3 of these transmissions, and to do the exercises prescribed. And you do those in the group. So I'm pretty sure, I went through the list, I'm pretty sure I've invited everybody to the Soul Ignition group. And if you aren't in there and you can't find it, or you can't see the notification, you just send me a message and I'll follow it up for you. I'll send you a link so that you can access it. And so I'm feeling into on whether the scholarships are drawn on the 3rd day, which is the Saturday, or whether I do a separate one on the Sunday, just a short 5-minute video. So depending on how we go with time on Saturday, I'll tell you when I'll do that, but then I'll draw them, and obviously if you can't be there live when I'm doing it, it's totally fine. If your name is called out, I'll contact you, celebrate your win and receiving this beautiful gift. And so I would love the exercise, like what we just did in the reflection exercise, is in the Facebook group, is to share, now that I'll share after it. So what are you letting go of? What has stopped you from letting yourself shine? And you're going to put that in the Facebook group. You can do it in the form of a video, so a 3-minute or less video, or a written post with a photo of you, and you pop that in the group. Now, the purpose of this is twofold. One is, there is something powerful that happens for us when we declare, when we own, when we bring awareness to these pieces, and when we allow ourselves to be witnessed in that. It is really powerful. and it feels edgy, especially for people who don't do this stuff all the time, that they're going into the wilderness of Facebook, and that's not something that they do all of the time. I want you to know that I've had the group, the Soul Ignition group, was called a different name for my other program, and it is a private group. It is the people in the group are heart-centered people, and if there is anything that's out of alignment of heart-centered supportive behavior, they get dismissed from the group. Like, you are completely, I promise you, safety, emotional safety and integrity are my highest values. And so you are safe to show up in that space and share vulnerably and openly, and I will be in there to support you. Just want a little note here is that I ask that you don't coach each other, that this is a process of declaring and sharing and being witnessed. So we don't have to soothe or fix anyone or ourselves. This is a process of just declaring and bringing things to the light. The other piece, that's the big first piece. The second reason I'm asking you to do it is because working with me in a program is a commitment at all levels. And I really want to work with people who are self-responsible and who are committed to showing up. I've had people pay me and do that and commit to my program and then not show up for any of the sessions and not do any of the things. Now, it's unfulfilling for me and it's unfulfilling for them, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to be the experience. So this is practice. This is an opportunity to demonstrate your level of commitment and your willingness to do what it takes to create the transformation and the shifts in your life. One of my characteristics that I'm most proud of is my willingness to always lean in. I'll feel the edge. I'm working with a beautiful mentor at the moment, and she always says to me, "Man, you show the F up." I'll come to an edge and I'm like, I need 24 hours. This is an edge for me. But then I'll always lean in. I'll always do the thing. And so your results in your life and what you're experiencing in your life is a direct reflection of how willing you are to lean in and how willing you are to go there and do the things. So in saying that, I will wrap this up. And so for those who are watching the replay, so there's quite a few people that registered that told me that they couldn't be here for this live. So for those that are watching the replay, so same thing, go into the Soul Ignition group, do the exercise. You're still in the running for the scholarship, provided you meet all the little bits and bobs. Oh, and the other thing is the book the 10-minute chat with me. I didn't say that even though it's written there. Some of you have already done that, and you just book a 10-minute chat with me, and we will go through the scholarship, what it's like working together, and an energy transmission where I tune into your energy. And so if you're watching the replay, do all of the things, communicate with me via messenger or email if you can't find something or if you have any questions. So in closing, you can let me know in the chat box if there's any questions that you have at this point about anything. And then second part is, what was your biggest takeaway from today? What landed for you today? And by sharing that in the chat box, we're anchoring it into the nervous system. So I'd love to know what landed for you today. To show up. Yes, Natalie. Commit to myself. Yes, Renee. Yes, yes, yes. Nadine, how my boundaries have kept me stuck. Yes. and oops, now they're coming in fast. Tina, realizing how different I act and behave around different people. And Katie, I have a growing sense that I'm getting closer to figuring out what my purpose is. I still have no idea what it is, and it's getting closer and closer to the surface. Yes, babe. Rach, dedicate time to myself. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so thank you for your beautiful presence here today, for the time that you've given, that you've committed and shared today, your willingness to go in and do the things that I'm inviting you to do, the journal exercise, for your presence. I can feel it. I can really feel your presence. And I'm just really excited for the next 2 transmissions. So over between now and tomorrow, just make sure that you're hydrated and be open to other pieces that come through for you in relation to what was shared today. This was a transmission. Even if there were parts of it that you didn't resonate with or didn't really land for you, they'll be working away in your field over the next 24 hours for you to receive guidance or get some more, anchor something into your nervous system or have clarity about something. So just be gentle with yourself, be open to what's coming through for you. Enjoy the process of doing the exercise in the Facebook group. So actually, even if you're not going for the scholarship, I actually have people who said to me, thank you, and I don't want to go for the scholarship, but they've still done the things like shared my posts and they're doing the exercises. I invite you to play full out, even if you don't want the scholarship, even if you don't want to go on and do more work with me. This is designed to support you to be in your radiance. Have a beautiful afternoon, evening. I know that there's some people that are watching the replay that are on the other side of the world, so I'll get that to them as soon as possible, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.